Once upon a time, the Vegas buffet was a rite of passage, a feast that made you feel like royalty no matter how broke you were. It wasn't just food, it was freedom. For 20 bucks, you could eat crab legs, prime rib, and dessert until you questioned your life choices. But now, the Great Vegas Buffet is dying, replaced by overpriced food halls, small portions, and corporate spin. The city that once gave you everything now charges you triple for half as much. Tonight we're lifting the lid on how the buffet went from iconic to extinct, and how Vegas quietly robbed you blind while you weren't looking. There was a time when the Vegas buffet was legendary, a place where gluttony wasn't a sin, it was the entire point. The flashing neon signs promised all you can eat, and for once, they meant it. Prime rib carving stations, endless shrimp cocktails, mountains of desserts arranged like edible skyscrapers. You didn't just eat at a buffet, you conquered it. Back then, the buffet wasn't just a meal, it was marketing genius. Casinos knew exactly what they were doing. You'd walk in, see that glorious $4.99 sign, and think you were beating the system. But of course, the buffet was the bait. They didn't care if they lost money on food. They knew you'd spend twice as much at the slots afterward. It was a beautiful illusion, indulgence for everyone, financed by your optimism. In the 1980s and 90s, buffets were the soul of the strip. The Rio, the Stardust, the Mirage. Each one tried to outdo the others. Some went over the top with live carving stations, fresh seafood, and even champagne brunches. The more outrageous, the better. Vegas wasn't about restraint. It was about excess. The buffet captured that perfectly, an edible version of the city's wildest dreams. It became part of the ritual. Families road tripped in just to hit the Bellagio buffet. Newlyweds went straight from the chapel to the seafood line. Locals bragged about knowing the secret buffets, the ones where the prime rib was thicker, the dessert sweeter, and the line shorter. There was pride in it. Vegas made gluttony glamorous. The buffets reflected the city's energy, big, chaotic, a little messy, but overflowing with life. The staff joked with you. The chefs carved meat right in front of you. You weren't just eating, you were participating in Vegas's myth. The buffet made you feel like a winner before you ever touched a slot machine, and people loved it. Tourists didn't come to Vegas for health food or fine dining. They came for abundance, for the chance to say, "Look at this mountain of crab legs. Where else in the world could you get this for 20 bucks? The buffet made Vegas accessible. It said, you don't need to be rich to live like it. That promise built the brand. It made the casinos human. The cheap food, the free drinks, the endless hospitality. It was all designed to make you forget reality for a while. And for decades, it worked. But behind the laughter and the full plates, something else was brewing. A slow shift from generosity to greed. As the corporate era tightened its grip, the bean counters started circling. They looked at those endless trays of crab and saw waste. They looked at those cheap buffets and saw lost profits. The golden age of gluttony was glorious while it lasted, a defiant middle finger to moderation. But in the modern Vegas, that kind of generosity doesn't fit anymore. There's no room for excess unless it's profitable. And so, the plate started shrinking, the prices started rising. The soul of the buffet, the joy, the laughter, the shared absurdity, began to die quietly under fluorescent lights. The feast was over, the accountants were hungry. It didn't happen overnight. The death of the Vegas buffet started small, almost invisible, like a magic trick done in slow motion. One year, the crab legs disappeared from weekdays. The next, the carving station rotated menus. Then came the new signs: premium seafood upgrade, $14.99 extra. Guests grumbled but paid. The casinos smiled. The experiment worked. That's how the price creep began. One subtle change at a time. What used to cost $19.99 in 2005 quietly became $29.99, then $39.99, then $59.99. When inflation didn't justify it, they blamed market conditions. When customers complained, they spun it as elevated dining. The same food, less of it, smaller plates, fewer choices, wrapped in buzzwords like chef-inspired, seasonal offerings, and upscale upscale selections. Behind the scenes, it wasn't about quality, it was about margins. Corporate management realized something. People didn't come to Vegas just for cheap food anymore. They came because they had to be there. So why not test how far they could push before people broke? By 2018, the average dinner buffet on the Strip was around $45. Today, it's edging toward $80 or more. And that's before drinks, tips, and tax. Families that once treated the buffet as a Vegas tradition now face $300 tabs for 4 people. For a meal that used to be a working man's dream, that's a nightmare. The most cynical part? The cuts came disguised as upgrades. Smaller menus were marketed as refined selections. Fewer staff meant personalized service. Pre-portioned desserts, once symbols of cafeteria efficiency, were rebranded as modern presentation. They sold you less and made you thank them for it. Then came 2020, the moment that finished the job. When COVID hit, buffets became a liability. The open trays, shared tongs, and crowds were suddenly unsafe. It was the perfect excuse for the corporations to do what they'd wanted for years: shut them down. When the city reopened, the damage was done. Some buffets returned, but most didn't. Those that survived emerged unrecognizable. Reduced menus, sky-high prices, and mandatory time limits. The abundance was gone, and with it went the joy. Buffets used to be about comfort, laughing too loud, eating too much, sneaking one more dessert because why not? It's Vegas. Now it's an awkward, overpriced performance of what used to be fun. You can feel the tension at every table, people glancing at the bill, calculating value, realizing too late they've been tricked. Vegas didn't just raise the prices, it rewrote the rules. The buffet stopped being a celebration and became a transaction. The sad truth is, the city never needed to kill the buffet. It just needed to make it unaffordable. And that's exactly what it did. If the buffet was the soul of old Vegas, then the food hall is its soulless corporate clone. A perfectly engineered scam disguised as progress. When the casinos shut down their buffets, they didn't just eliminate an outdated business model, they replaced it with something far more profitable: the modern food hall. Gone are the endless trays of prime rib and desserts. In their place, rows of branded stalls serving $25 sandwiches, $18 tacos, and $9 iced coffees, all wrapped in neon and nostalgia, pretending to be authentic. The pitch is simple. Buffets are wasteful, they say. People want options, they claim, but look closer and the con becomes obvious. Food halls are designed for one thing: extraction. Each stand operates independently, meaning you pay for every single dish. A burger here, fries there, dessert somewhere else. That $30 buffet you used to enjoy for 2 hours now costs $70 before you even sit down. The variety they promise is just an illusion, and they've perfected the psychological trick. At buffets, you saw the total up front. At food halls, you pay in increments. One swipe at a time, it feels manageable. Until you realize you just spent $45 on lunch and didn't even get full. The irony is thick. These food halls try to capture the spirit of old Vegas. Loud, colorful, excessive. But they have none of the generosity that defined it. The atmosphere is corporate chaos, sterile lighting, piped-in pop music, and communal tables that feel more like airport terminals than celebrations. You're not invited to indulge anymore. You're processed. Take Resorts World's famous food street eats, for example. Marketed as a global culinary wonderland, it's really a maze of overpriced stalls where you scan QR codes, wait 30 minutes, and pick up food on plastic trays. What used to be fun and communal is now digital and transactional. You can't even get a refill without standing in another line. The only thing all you can eat anymore is the markup. The food hall isn't about quality or culture, it's about control. Casinos realized that by killing buffets, they could eliminate waste, cut staff, and charge boutique prices without offering boutique experiences. It's capitalism dressed up as cuisine. But here's the sad part: people go along with it. The tourists don't remember what they've lost, and the newcomers think this is what Vegas has always been, a place where fun means scanning menus and tapping cards. The spontaneity is gone. The shared laughter, the overeating, the guilty joy of going back for one more plate, all gone. In the old Vegas, you paid once and forgot about the money. You focused on the experience. In the new Vegas, you're reminded of the cost at every bite. The food hall is the perfect metaphor for what Vegas has become. Sleek, expensive, efficient, and utterly joyless. It looks like the future, but it feels like a cafeteria run by a bank. And just like the city itself, it's a mirage. Bright, beautiful, and completely hollow once you get close enough to taste it. Vegas was never just about gambling. It was about the deal. The feeling that you could win even if you didn't. You might lose $100 at the slots, but you could still walk into a buffet, eat like royalty, and tell yourself, it's okay, I'm still ahead. That was the genius of old Vegas. The illusion that the city wanted you to win, that you were part of something generous, something human. But somewhere along the line, the deal died. And with it, the last bit of heart Vegas had left. When the buffets disappeared, they took more than food with them. They took away the city's most important magic trick, the ability to make you feel good about losing. It sounds small, but it was everything. The cheap meals, the comps, the free drinks. They made Vegas feel like it was on your side. They softened the sting of the losses. They made the gamble fun. Now, the house doesn't even pretend to care. The comps are gone. The discounts vanished. The players' perks that once earned you free meals now barely get you a drink coupon. The joy of finding a deal, a cheap buffet, a free show ticket, a $5 blackjack table has been replaced with dynamic pricing, service fees, and endless upsells. Every corner of the city feels like it's waiting to charge you one more time. It's not just financial. It's emotional. Vegas used to reward optimism. You came with hope, and even if you lost, the city gave you a story. Now you leave with a receipt. The psychology behind it is cruelly efficient. The corporations running the strip figured out that as long as they called something exclusive, people would pay more for less. A buffet that once cost $25 and included everything is now a $75 premium experience with smaller portions and self-service drinks. It's not indulgence anymore, it's theater. The only thing unlimited is the markup. And the real heartbreak is that the deal didn't just die, it was murdered. Executives killed it on purpose because it didn't serve the spreadsheet. The idea of giving customers a win, even a small one, became unacceptable. They didn't want you to feel lucky, they wanted you to feel dependent. The result, a city that no longer knows how to make you smile unless you're spending. Vegas used to sell dreams, now it sells transactions. The moment you stop paying, the magic shuts off. Ask anyone who's been coming here for 20 years. They'll tell you, the city feels different now. The generosity is gone, the laughter's quieter, the food's fancier, but the taste isn't the same. You can measure the change not in dollars, but in spirit. Because the truth is, Vegas used to give you a deal even when you didn't deserve it. That was the point. It said, you lost, but we still love you. Now it says, you lost, and that'll be $75 more. What they took from us wasn't just food, it was the feeling, that strange, warm, unexplainable joy that came from sitting under buzzing casino lights with a plate piled so high it felt illegal. The Vegas buffet wasn't about hunger, it was about abundance. About believing, even for a moment, that you'd made it, that no matter how broke you were, how much you'd lost at the tables, there was still one place in this city that wanted you to win. That's what the casinos stole, not the crab legs, not the shrimp towers, not the dessert bar, the feeling of being treated well. The buffet used to be the one honest thing about Las Vegas. It didn't matter who you were. You could walk in with the same $20 bill as the guy next to you, and you both got the same prime rib, the same ice cream, the same champagne poured into plastic cups. It wasn't luxury, it was democracy. The buffet didn't care if you were rich or poor. It cared that you were here, and that's why people loved it, because for one night, Vegas gave you more than you paid for. That was the magic. The city let you pretend the world wasn't built to squeeze you. It let you forget just for a few hours that life was unfair. Now that illusion is gone. gone. And it's not coming back. Vegas has lost its generosity. Every inch of the city has been reprogrammed for profit. Buffets replaced by food halls, free drinks replaced by drink trackers, service replaced by touchscreens. The people who once came to this city for adventure now come for obligation. Conventions, influencer shoots, overpriced experiences. The party's still going, but no one's dancing anymore. And the loss of the buffet isn't some small nostalgic thing. It's symbolic. It's the moment the city stopped believing in the very thing that made it special. Now, the idea that joy could be cheap and generosity could be profitable. Ask anyone who remembers the old days and they'll tell you the buffet was Vegas at its purest. It was absurd, excessive, human. It said, "You matter." It said, "Eat until you can't, laugh while you do it, and forget about the world outside." Now Vegas doesn't say anything. It just charges your card. The tragedy is the people didn't change. The city did. The dreamers, the drifters, the wide-eyed first-timers still come looking for the same thing. A little magic, a little kindness, a little escape. But all they find is a brand. Polished, expensive, and empty. What they took from us wasn't food, it was belonging. The buffet was the heartbeat of a city that once knew how to take care of people, not just take their money. And when Vegas killed that buffet, it didn't just end a tradition, it ended an era. The city that once fed the world's fantasies now feels hungry itself, starving for the one thing it can't buy back: soul, because the house always wins. But somewhere along the way, the house forgot that the point wasn't just to win, it was to make sure everyone left the table smiling.